In this lecture, we are going to discuss different aspects of the aminoglycosides. So let's get started. First of all, if we look at the structure of the gentamicin, or you can say gentamicin, it's all up to you because British says gentamicin, but the American says gentamicin. It's all up to you how will you pronounce the gentamicin or you can say gentamicin. So in the structure of the gentamicin, you will see the three ring structure. These are basically the sugar ring, and at certain point you will see the presence of the amino group. Here is the amino group, and here are other amino groups that are actually present at the second ring, sugar ring. So basically these amino sugars are linked by the bond, and that bond is actually called the glycosidic bond. So that's why we called aminoglycoside as aminoglycoside due to the presence of the amino group and the sugar ring. Okay, so that is actually the basis of the aminoglycosides antibiotic. If we look at the different types of the aminoglycosides, so basically we have categorized the aminoglycosides into three groups. So first group, you will see amikacin. In the second group, you will see the gentamicin, natilmicin, sesomycin, plazomycin. And in the third group, you will see the neomycin, streptomycin, tobramycin, and the kanamycin. So if you look in the first group, the ending word will be the sin, C-I-N, sin. Okay. And in the second group, you will see the ending word or you can say suffix will be the mycin. Okay, and in the third group you will see the ending word will be the mycin. So basically this mycin group, neomycin, streptomycin, tobramycin, and the kanamycin is actually synthesized from the bacterial genus, and that is actually called the Streptomyces genus. Okay, so that's why we called it mycin. And in this second group you will see mycin. So these group actually derive from the bacterial genus, and that is actually called the Micromonospora. So that's why we have categorized it into the group that having suffix mycin. And in the first group you will see the Amikacin, only the sin. Amikacin is actually the semi-synthetic form of the Kanamycin. So we have categorized it separately. So here are basically the different types of the aminoglycosides, and hope so it will help you in understanding the different types of the aminoglycosides. Okay, if we look at the mechanism of action, how aminoglycosides play its role in the translation process, we will see how. So most important, aminoglycosides is used for the gram-negative bacteria. So we will discuss it according to the gram-negative bacteria. First of all, if we look at the membranes of the gram-negative bacteria, in the outermost you will see the outer membrane, and this outer membrane having the channels, and these channels are actually called the porine channels. Okay. Next, we will see the presence of the peptidoglycan, the most important component of the bacterial cell wall. Okay, and in the innermost, you will see the cell membrane, and in this cell membrane, you will see the special transport system that actually depend upon the oxygen. If there is no oxygen, then these transport system will not work. So it means that presence of oxygen is very much important for the transportations of the different molecules like the aminoglycosides. So it means that the bacteria should be gram negative, and these bacteria should be aerobic in nature, because for the transportations of the molecule oxygen is required. So it means that aminoglycoside is used against the gram-negative bacteria as well as for the aerobic bacteria. So that is the important thing about the aminoglycosides. Okay. Next, you will see ribosomes. So basically, bacterial ribosome has two subunits, 30S subunit and the 50S subunit. Okay. And in between them, you will see the presence of the messenger RNA. So basically, from the DNA, you will see the formation of the messenger RNA. From the messenger RNA, you will see the synthesis of the protein. From the DNA to the messenger RNA, that process is actually called the transcription process. From the messenger to the protein synthesis, that process is actually called the translation process. So basically, aminoglycoside plays its role in the translation process. We will see how. First of all, for the translation of the protein, this complex should be formed, like the 30S subunit along with the 50S subunit, and in between them you will see the messenger RNA. So basically, first of all, if the patient takes the aminoglycosides enter through the porins and through the special transport system enter into the bacterial cell. Now, these aminoglycosides will bind to the 30S subunit. After binding of the aminoglycosides with the 30S subunit, it will block the formation of the initiation complex. This one. Now, after binding of the aminoglycoside, there will be no attachment of the 30S subunit with the messenger RNA and with the 50S subunit. So, it's me first most important mechanism. It actually block the initiation complex formation. That is the first mechanism of action of the aminoglycosides. Next, at certain point in the messenger RNA, you will see EPA, three most important side. E for exit side, P for peptidyl side, and A for aminoacyl side. Basically, transfer RNA having amino acid. First of all, attached to the peptidyl side. Here is the transfer RNA having the amino acid. Okay. Now, the second transfer RNA having amino acid will attach at the A side. Okay. If I write it here, here is the second transfer RNA having the different amino acid. Here is the amino acid. Now, in that case, you will see the bond formations between the two amino acids. Okay. Ultimately, these transfer RNA move from the P side to the E side. Okay. This transfer RNA will move from the P side to the E side. Okay. And after that, you will see the exit of the transfer RNA. And ultimately, you will see the new transfer RNA will come in place of the previous one. Okay. Here is the removal of the transfer RNA because movement of the transfer RNA from the A, P, E side. Here is the sequence of the movement A, P, E. Okay. After that, you will see the next transfer RNA. Here is the next transfer RNA will move at the A side, and you will see again the attachment of the incoming amino acid with the previous one. And ultimately, you will see the formation of the amino acid chain that is actually called the polypeptide. But by binding of the aminoglycoside with the 30S subunit, it actually misread the messenger RNA, because in the messenger RNA you will see the codon. Okay. On the messenger RNA you will see the codon. There are lot of codons that actually code the amino acid. If there is a disturbance in the codon, then the formations of the amino acid, or you can say polypeptide, will be disturbed. So it means that by attaching of the aminoglycosides with the 30S subunit, it actually misread the polypeptide. It means that wrong polypeptide or wrong protein will form. That will be the cause of the bacterial death. Okay. So second mechanism is actually the misreading of the codon, and after misreading, wrong peptide formation at that side. Okay. And third most important, it actually blocks the translocation, actually continuously transfer RNA by taking the amino acid comes and exit at that site. But by attaching of the aminoglycoside at the 30th subunit, it actually blocks the translocation process of the transfer RNA. So there are basically the three most important mechanism of action of the aminoglycosides. So if we look at the resistance, how bacteria develop resistance against the aminoglycoside? First, efflux pump. Bacteria can continuously expel the aminoglycoside from its cytoplasm. So ultimately, when there is no aminoglycoside, then there will be no effect of the aminoglycoside inside the bacteria. Next is the uptake. Decrease in the uptake of the aminoglycoside can also be the resistant mechanism of the bacteria. And bacteria can produce these certain enzymes that can inactivate or that can modify the incoming aminoglycosides. After modification, aminoglycoside can't bind at the 30th subunits. Okay. If we look at the antimicrobial spectrum, so it is actually used for the gram-negative and the aerobic bacteria like the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Klebsiella pneumoniae, and the Enterobacter species and the E. coli. But aminoglycoside can be used for the gram-positive bacteria along with the beta-lactam drugs like the penicillin. Aminoglycosides can be used along with the beta-lactam drugs for the gram-positive bacteria like the Enterococcus faecalis and the Fascium. Okay. If we look at the pharmacokinetics like the absorption, so basically aminoglycoside is actually a polar drug, hydrophilic in nature. So due to the polar in nature, aminoglycoside is poorly absorbed from the GIT tract. So that's why we give the aminoglycoside through the parenteral route, right? The IV route and the IM route. Okay, that is the important thing. We give the aminoglycoside through the parenteral route, like the IV or you can say IM. But there is an exception for the neomycin. Neomycin is not given through the IV route because of the severe nephrotoxicity caused by the neomycin. So that's why neomycin can be used for the topical, like for the skin infection, and neomycin can be taken through the oral route to decontaminate our GIT tract before the surgery, like the colorectal surgery. So that is the important thing about the neomycin, and that is an exception. Okay. Next is the distribution. So basically aminoglycosides poorly distribute in our CSF, cerebrospinal fluids. So that's why we choose another pathway, and that will be the intrathecal route or intraventricular route. Directly we put the directly aminoglycoside into the CSF. Okay. Next, aminoglycosides can easily close the placenta and deposit in the fetus. So that's why it is contraindicated in certain conditions. Okay. Next, you will see the elimination. So basically, aminoglycosides eliminate through the kidney. So kidney function should be proper for the elimination of the aminoglycosides. If the kidney function is not proper, then you should have to adjust the dose of the aminoglycosides in the kidney failure patients. If you look at the adverse effects, so most important adverse effect related to the aminoglycosides will be the ototoxicity. Ototoxicity. So in the ototoxicity, you will see two things: loss of hearing and the loss of body balance. Okay. If you discuss the loss of hearing, that will be the auditory cause. Auditory cause, loss of hearing, and that is actually caused by disturbance in the cochlea that is actually present in our ear, or you can say auditory nerve. But if you see disturbance in the vestibular system of our ear, then you will see the disturbance in the body balance. So both categories can be fall in the ototoxicity, and in severe cases you can see deafness in the fetus. And ototoxicity will be increased if the patient is taking other ototoxic drugs like the cisplatin and the loop diuretic along with the aminoglycosides, then the chances or the risk of the ototoxicity will enhance in those patients. Next, you will see nephrotoxicity. Nephrotoxicity. So in the aminoglycosides can deposit in the proximal convoluted tubular cells. So basically, if you look at the structure of the nephron, here is the structure of the nephron. You will see the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and the distal convoluted tubule. So in the proximal convoluted tubular cells, you see the depositions of the aminoglycoside that actually disturb the calcium channels in the proximal convoluted tubules. And ultimately, you can see either reversible or irreversible renal impairment. And ultimately, that can be a severe form of the renal tubular necrosis. That is a severe form of the nephrotoxicity. Okay, that is the important thing about the nephrotoxicity. And you can check the function of the kidney by the blood urea nitrogens and the creatinine. Okay, next we will see the neuromuscular paralysis. Neuromuscular paralysis. Okay, chances of the neuromuscular paralysis will be increased if you give the high dose of the aminoglycosides, or if you give the co-administrations of the aminoglycosides with the other neuromuscular blocker. Another thing, in the myasthenia gravis patient, neuromuscular paralysis enhance in those patients. Okay, so basically, paralysis can be reversed by suddenly taking this calcium gluconate or the neostigmine. Okay, and last you will see the contact dermatitis. That is actually caused by the neomycin, because the neomycin is the only one that actually used topically. Otherwise, all aminoglycosides actually used for the parenteral route. So this is all about the aminoglycoside. If you still have any question, you may ask in the comment section. Thank you so much.